What is up, Critics? Welcome back to the series where I customize and review past DLC and OG vehicles I never got the chance to because I didn't start making car customization videos till about late 2015. Again, guys, let me know in the comments what car from late 2015 and older you guys want me to customize next, and I'll display the most liked vehicle suggestion comment in the next customization video. So in today's video, we're going to be customizing the Progen T20, the famous T20. So this car came out back in July of 2015 with the Ill-Gotten Gains Part 2 update. This supercar has a price of $2.2 million, which is actually pretty crazy and expensive for a car from 2015. The Ill-Gotten Gains Part 1 and Part 2 updates were where Rockstar was really starting to put very expensive price tags on vehicles, and people were buying them. I mean, these were very expensive cars back then. And this car came out shortly after the Osiris, which was also very expensive, about $2 million. And the Osiris was the new king for most supercar tracks. But when the T20 came out, that one was just a little bit quicker depending on the track, which ultimately made it pretty much the most popular car back in 2015. Now, the Zentorno was still extremely competitive with the T20 and the Osiris back then, so you really didn't have to spend $2 million on a supercar to be competitive. Now, obviously, that has changed over the years, where cars like the Emirates and Krieger are close to $3 million and pretty much dominate the class completely, so it's a lot harder to have a cheap budget supercar these days. So the Dubachi Wagoner is pretty much the cheapest car you can get to really closely compete with the top two supercars of the Emirates and Krieger, and that one costs about $1.5 million. So these days, you pretty much have to spend at least $1 million to be closely competitive in the supercar class, and the Wagoner is a very good one for that. But anyways, I don't want to get too off topic here. The T20 is primarily based on the McLaren P1, which is an amazing piece of automotive art and performance in real life. Now, the GTA version does look a little strange, and that's mainly because of the weird design they put on the headlights and the giant chrome stock wheels, which really makes it look very strange. But overall, the car doesn't look too bad. Plus, it has the active aero spoiler from the P1 that actually works pretty well, and it's very similar to. I think they did a great job on that. And I think this was one of the first supercars that actually had an active aero functioning spoiler, which is pretty cool. But anyways, let's go ahead and check out the customization of this old supercar king.
What can we do to it?
Alright, T20. Alright, we got armor, brakes, bumpers. Alright, so you have a secondary color race splitter. Okay, so it adds the canards, tow hook, and then of course the little splitter on the bottom. Okay, and then you have the carbon version of that. Now, personally, I don't really like the splitter too much because of the way they kind of cut it in the center. Not too much of a fan of that. I mean, I like that design on some cars, but on this one with that really nice kind of round front end, it just looks strange. Then again, the car looks kind of empty without it. It's kind of in between for me. It's and for most people as well. They kind of wish that it had some better splitter options. There's really only one with different color variations for it. Usually I have mine stock, but I mean the carbon doesn't look too bad. It makes it look a little more aggressive. We'll put it for the video. Let's just do that. Now, rear bumper is basically just diffuser fins. So you have primary color diffuser, and then here you have secondary color. So stock is actually carbon fins, and then the other two options are just different color variations. So it's all personal preferences to what you like. I personally like the carbon fins, which is the stock, so we're gonna keep that. Now, in terms of engine, you have the engine upgrade there, which is pretty cheap, surprisingly. In terms of exhaust, you have oval exhaust, then you got the that's stock, and then you have oval. Okay. Alright, then you have race, which is basically titanium exhaust. Absolutely love that on a P1, like the real car. And then you got a chrome tip exhaust, which has like a little effect to it. It's kind of like a jet fighter with a little, the way they cut the very tip. It looks really, really cool. Personally, I like the titanium. Now, obviously, the P1 has a beautiful exhaust system that pretty much comes out right where the plate sits on this car. But this is not, a bad alternative. It looks pretty good, so we'll do that. Hood options. So you have the first option, which is a pretty nice vent. It's kind of similar to the stock one, but a little bigger. Some people say it looks weird, that it looks like a mustache or something. I think it's pretty good looking. But then you have the second option here, which to me looks a lot better because it's a lot cleaner. But then again, it does look a little strange because now it looks like you have 3 vents. But I mean, with a crazy exotic car like this, you know, kind of makes sense to have a bunch of vents everywhere. And the double vented hood doesn't look too bad. Plus, I like how clean it looks from far away. You kind of have to like go up to it and see it. You don't really see it at first glance, like in your face with the giant vent of the first option. So we're gonna do the double vented hood.
Looking good.
Okay, lights. Throw some xenons on there. License plate. So I already have my P1 plate on here. I'm just gonna give it a black background. Now in terms of color, this is a pretty difficult choice. Now this car, let me show the secondary color really quick. Secondary color on this car is very, very weird. So it's the center portion on the door area, which I like, that's not bad. But what I don't like is how they incorporated it with the side skirt. And then side skirt options, which, you know what, let's go back to there really quick. Go side skirt here. It's only a fin, and it still has that secondary color, which is really annoying. So I'll put the fin, might as well. I'll go back to the roof in a second. But in terms of the secondary color, you're forced to have that splitter in that color. And also a tiny piece of the front bumper area right there. I mean, that's so weird. Like, why did they do that? I personally don't understand it. I think the Furia is pretty similar to that, with its trim color or secondary color. That's just weird. In the interior, the stitching does match your primary color, which is pretty cool, which I'll get back to in a second. But what I'm getting at here is that you pretty much have to go with some type of carbon black or black for the secondary color. If not, it just looks weird, which is kind of unfortunate. So I think I'm just gonna throw a crew black on there, or maybe a matte black, so that it blends in with the carbon a little better. Yeah, we'll do the matte black there.
Looks almost as good as you.
Okay, your crumbling goes on the side of the door there. Now, in terms of primary color, I went a little backwards this time, but primary color, I mean, I used to have mine yellow. You know, P1 in yellow is very, very common, but I mean, it does look amazing in this color, you know, kind of like the point of it. Or orange, also a very popular color. Now, the matte black does look pretty sick. Will be kind of weird if we have double matte black, but I mean, the matte black looks pretty sinister on it. But then again, we have that chrome piece there that you can't change on the engine cover, that vent, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, I think I'm going to go with the yellow, honestly. I'm going to do classic yellow. The pearlescent on the yellow on this car does look a little weird. I mean, the classic race yellow, I mean, it looks pretty good. Or race yellow or regular yellow? I like the race yellow, kind of bright. We'll do that. Do here. We got roof, so you have roof scoop right there. Side skirts, we already went over that. Transmission, turbo. Alright, wheels. So I'm gonna go to the street category, and we're gonna go down over here. We're gonna go to the concave Mercies. Where are they? Right there. Look at that. Looks so good on this car, especially when we paint them black. Boom! I mean, instant transformation. This looks so good on this car. I don't know why. There's just something about the P1 and the T20 kind of GTA version in yellow. I mean, it looks so fitting. It looks like it should be on this car. It looks so good, and it matches our plate too, which is kind of funny. Look at that. All right, windows. So I think the back glass. Yeah, the back glass tints on this car. So I mean, if you want to see the engine bay, you know, you don't want to tint it too much. So usually for this car, I'll do like a light smoke or a dark smoke. I think the light smoke is pretty good, or dark smoke. We'll do dark smoke. The limo is way too much, definitely. I mean, you really can't barely see anything in there. And that's all the options there. You know, nothing too crazy. You know, 2015 car, one of like the first crazy fast supercars. Or I think this one came out shortly after the Osiris, and we have this in Torno before that in 2014. So, all right, exit to ground. Such a good car. Just love the way it looks, and it's really nice to drive too. Very easy, very forgiving driving experience. All right, let's rev it up a bit. Sounds very good. First person. Oh, this sounds so good. You got the interior from the Comet here, and then of course the interior stitching is transferred over from your primary color. Very nice. With the T20 badge right there. Not too bad. All right, let's floor it here. Oh, sounds so good. Love the active spoiler that comes up. And of course, when you slow down or brake, you got the air brake effect. Kind of leans up. Very cool. Very similar to the P1. And of course, when you're going very slow, it retracts its way down there. And then when you start picking up speed, it goes right back up. So cool. I think this was one of the first cars that had an active aero spoiler. I don't think any other supercar had this when this car came out. It was one of the first. And this was the last supercar added to old gen, I believe, PS3 and 360. So yeah. And fun fact about that spoiler too, for those of you who don't know, the spoiler can eventually break if you hit enough things. If you crash a lot, it will break, and that does affect your traction, believe it or not. So if you break that spoiler, it will affect your handling. Kind of similar to a spoiler upgrade. It's basically a spoiler upgrade, and if you damage it, you lose that traction benefit. But T20 overall, amazing driving experience. Used to be the king of the supercar class for most tracks for many years. I think up until the Wagner came out in, I think it was 2017. This car, you know, it had its reign for quite a few years of being pretty much the king for most tracks with turns. Obviously, believe it or not, the Adder still had a higher top speed than this car. So, you know, this thing was dominant because of its acceleration and handling. You know, not necessarily its top speed. Zentorno and Osiris, extremely closely competitive with this car. And depending on the track back then, the Zentorno could be faster, the Osiris could be faster, or the T20 could be faster. I mean, it was really reliant on the types of corners on the track, different things like that. So it was a very fun time back then. You know, you had 3 different cars that were extremely competitive. Now in the supercar class, you basically have 2 very dominant cars, the Emirates and Krieger. S80RR, you can mix it in there depending on the track, but overall it's mainly Krieger and Emirates, you know. But love the T20, nice like past car. I'm sure a lot of you probably sold this. I mean, very expensive car, worth $2 million back in 2015. That was a lot of money. All right, let's pull over here, open all the doors. There, butterfly doors, love that. Vehicle doors, do all. Everything opens up except for the front trunk. Obviously, that one's fixed on this. Interior there, pretty. Oh, it's got T20 there too on the door sill. I didn't even know that. Huh. It's been a while. It's been a while. Got the engine model there. Pretty much copy and paste from the Turismo and Cheetah. So nothing really much to see there, even though the exhaust note is completely different. Then you got the T20 badge right there. It looks very, very cool. Progen T20. Love that. Huh, I never noticed. So when this thing closes, it covers the Progen. See? Yeah. Covers the Progen with a tint. See, this is why we shouldn't put too dark of a tint. But you can only see T20 with it closed, but then open you can see the Progen part of it. Pretty cool. Interior there from the Comet. Yellow stitching. Not too bad. I mean, 2015, very, very cool car. Do I recommend buying it? I mean, you know, it's a lot of money. That's the issue with this car, is the price. It's a lot of money for this thing. Over $2 million. I mean, you're getting pretty close to Krieger Emirates, you know, pricing with, you know, close $2 million price tag. And the Wagner is better performing than this thing. I think that was the car that really took down its reign, because it was still very competitive. Even when the Nero came out and all that, this car was still competitive. But when the Wagner came out, it kind of made this car obsolete. The Wagner is just an absolute animal with the handling and speed. So, yeah, would I buy it? Well, if I already have it, but should you buy it, if you don't have too much money or you're trying to be tight on money, I will hold off on a discount. There's been many discounts on this car. It goes on and off. It goes on discount quite a bit from time to time. So just look out for a discount. I wouldn't pay more than, I'd say 1.2, no more than that. Maybe 1.5. You know, you really need to be well under $2 million to make this car worth it, at least in my opinion. Especially with how crazy the performance are now in supercars and GTA. Anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to let me know down below in the comments what car you want to see me customize next from 2015 and older. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.